So, 7th graders, in lesson 2.5, we're going to be working on the basics, on learning the fundamental rules of how to solve an equation. Alright, the basic rules for solving. And what you're going to be doing is learning how you can prove the solution, like a lawyer would. Alright, a lawyer has to use logic and a procedure to prove something in the courtroom. Okay? And you have to use a procedure to prove an answer when you're solving an equation. So I'm going to show you how to do that. That is what we're accomplishing today. We're not just trying to find what x is. What you're actually learning how to do in this lesson is to prove the solution. Okay? You're going to be learning a procedure. So that's important to understand. Alright, I'm going to show you how to get the variable by itself on one side. That's the goal whenever you're solving an equation, is to find what the variable equals and to prove it. The first step is always to change subtraction to plus, a negative. So always insert a plus sign in front of the minus sign, okay? Eyes up here, please. Alright, listen to me. Then, what we're going to do is draw a line through the equal sign. You know what that line does? Oops. You know what this line does? What does that show? Yeah?
It like divides the two sides.
Yeah, it divides the two sides. Yep, so that we have a left side of the equation and a right side of the equation. Okay? Now, this word equation, we learned about that a couple lessons ago. Equation, the root word in that is equal. What do you think is equal in an equation? What do you think is equal in the equation?
Both sides.
Both sides, exactly. The value on both sides is equal. Okay? If it's an equation, then the value on both sides is supposed to be equal. So that means a couple things. First of all, these numbers should add up to the same value as the other number. And whatever you do on one side of the equation, you have to do on the other side. You have to treat both sides equally because it's an equal sentence. So we're going to look at adding and subtracting equations. This one is an addition equation. And we're going to use addition to solve it by adding the opposite of the number. So here's where you start this. You first, after you draw the line, you first go to the side and you always start on the side with the variable. Okay? Find the side with the variable. Which side is the variable on? Bennett. On the left side, so you start on the left side. Yep. Then you add the opposite of the number that's on the variable side. So what is the opposite of 170? Liv?
-1. I'm at -0. Wait, no, just -0.
We add the
Oh, the same.
opposite,
-170.
-170, on the side with the variable, and that is equal to 0. Yep. So, on the left side, we have 0 plus what? 0 plus, Trevor? 0 plus x. Yeah. Does anyone remember what property that is? No, we didn't multiply. It's not the distributive property. Yeah?
I think that's the identity property.
Yes, the identity property of addition. So what we're doing with this property is identifying the value of x. If 0 plus x is a number, then x will equal a number. That's the proof of it. That's the logical step. Now, when you add a number to one side, you have to add the same number, the exact same number, to the other side of the equation. So we have to add what? Matt?
You would add negative 170 over to 200, and then you would plus that, which would get us 30, and that equals x.
Right. And this proves that 30 is equal to x. Okay? You probably were able to look at this equation and say, well, x equals 30 because 30 plus 70 is 30 plus 170 is 200. Okay? But what you're learning how to do is showing it in a logical sequence, following the rules of algebra. Okay? So, take a look at the worksheet that I gave you. Warnings.
It is going to blow up in the next 5 seconds. That's a 4.
Let's see what it. Oh, it's still there. Good.
Beep, 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 beep.
All right. So I've given you a practice sheet. Practicing solving. Now, this dashed line divides the equation into two sides. So start on the side with the variable and add the opposite of the number on the side with the variable. On the variable side, what's the opposite of 8? Andreas? Right, so add, but plus negative 8 in the box. When you add that opposite number, what should the answer always be? Bethany? 0. That's how you know you're adding the right number. You're using the correct number if you add the two numbers and you get 0. What you're doing is eliminating that number, eliminating that term from the left side. So that the variable is what? Peter?
By itself.
By itself, exactly. Yep, that's how you solve it. You eliminate that term so that the variable is by itself. Okay? Then add the same number to the other side. So a plus 0 equals 4. That means a equals 4, right? Now, what do we put on this line? It says check. Matt.
Okay, so what you would do, since a equals 4, is you would take the a out and put a 4 up there, and then 4 plus 8 equals 12.
Right. Remember when we did that in the last lesson, in lesson 2.4, checking a solution to see if it makes the equation true? That's how you check the solution. And then you actually have to check it. You can't just write it down, but then you write true if it's true. So make sure that you check it and make sure that it's true. If it's true, write true. If it's false, don't write false. What should you do?
I'm not writing on the line.
Then go back and find your mistake. If it's false, it means you've gotten the wrong answer because the object is to find the solution. If you didn't find the solution, then you got to go back and figure out what you did wrong. Okay? Liv.
Can we do this on a piece of notebook paper? Because this does not make any sense.
No, I'm going to go through this with you to help you make sense of it.
Oh, I'm
It
Okay.
makes sense. It's just the box is confusing.
Yeah.
I know, that's why I'm going to help you. Number 2.
the box is
First, insert a plus sign in front of the minus sign. So that plus sign goes in the first box. T plus negative 3 equals 8. Then t plus 3. So we're adding 3 to the side with the variable. And then add 3 to the other side. So t plus 0 equals 11. And what we're doing is adding down to get 0. That proves t equals 11. Which when you put it in as the solution, T11 plus negative 3 is equal to 8. True. Next one. Start on the side with the variable. Is that the left side or the right side?
Right.
Yep, that's the right side this time. So find the number, add its opposite. So add negative 4. N plus 0. Add negative 4 on the other side. 3 plus negative 4 is negative 1. So n is negative 1. Check it. 3 plus, is equal to, 3 is equal to negative 1 plus 4. And that's true. Number 4. D plus negative 4 equals negative 7. Add 4 to both sides. So D plus 0 is equal to, and then add down, negative 7 plus 4 is negative 3. So D is negative 3. And then check it. Negative 3 plus negative 4 is equal to negative 7. That's true. Number 5. N plus 10. N plus negative 10 is negative 25. Add 10 to both sides. N equal plus 0 equals negative 15. So n is negative 15. And negative 15 plus negative 10 is equal to negative 25. I'm just going to write T for true because I ran out of room.
You write it on the bottom.
I could write it on the bottom, yep. Number 6. X plus negative 34 is equal to 20. Add 34 to both sides. Add down, x plus 0 equals 54. So x equals 54. 54 minus or plus negative 34 is equal to 20. Number 7. N plus negative 4 is equal to negative 18. Opposite of negative 4 is 4, so add 4 to both sides. So n plus 0 is equal to negative 14. That proves n is equal to negative 14. And negative 14 plus negative 4 is negative 18.
Doesn't a negative
That's
and a
true.
negative equal a positive?
No, that's the division and times. Plus the
The last one. See, this is where it's, when you start getting into numbers that you can't solve in your head, that's when the procedure gets really important. And that's actually the kind of problems that I'm teaching you how to solve. As you get into algebra next year, you're going to have to know the procedure in order to find the answer. So you add 366 to both sides, and 366 to both sides. So x plus 0 is equal to, and then you have to subtract, don't you? So, I don't need a calculator. My brain is more powerful than a calculator. Regroup this to 15. 15 minus 6 is 9. And regroup this to 3. Give that 10 to the previous place. 10 minus 6 is 4. The bigger number is negative, so it's a negative answer, negative 49. Negative 49 plus negative 366 is that negative 450. So then I would add, to do this, since I'm not good enough to check that in my head, I'm going to actually add the 49 here, just to double check. 6 plus 9 is 15. 1 plus 6 plus 4 is 11. And that's 4, so, yep, it checks. And that is how you work, people. That's how you prove your solutions. So, I want you to do that same thing on the back side. 1 through 12. Okay? Do 1 through 12 on the back side.